Welcome to East of Eden Readings. I am Kukul Khan, aka Reverend Rock, and tonight I'm going to discuss parishes and the Vatican's relationship with the slaveholders in the 1800s of Beaufort, South Carolina. But first, let me purify the air of all and vanquish all the negative Neteru, Nephilim, whatever you want to call them, demons. Etherians, because they come through the ether. See, here's the thing. There's no such thing as a ghost. When our peoples die, they reincarnate on our mother's side of the family. It's a matriarch system, not a patriarch system. Contrary to popular belief, this is not a man's world. That's what they want you to believe. This is a woman's world. Y'all bring us into existence. This is a matriarchal society. And we incarnate through the female side of our mother's side of the family. So there's no such thing as ghost. So I'm not dispelling ghost. But they are entities that live in the metaphysical realm that I coin Etherians, for a lack of a better term, because they can materialize as far as certain people's consciousness can recognize them, can perceive them, but they don't have a physical body. We call them spirits and ghosts. But there's no such thing as ghost. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to begin by reading something that my cousin, big ups to Terry, my cousin Terry Penn, you know what I'm saying, from Pomanac Houses in Queens. I'm going to read something that he sent me before I begin, the ceremony of explaining the relationship between the Vatican and Beaufort County slaveholders. Handbook of South Carolina, page 663. That is the statement of the mayor of Beaufort. And Beaufort is perhaps the blackest spot in the whole South. That is to say, the Negro population predominant more than anywhere else. There is a peculiar historical fact connected with that town that I would like to mention to the commission. That is the place where the federal troops first set the Negroes free. It was done on those islands in the neighborhood of Beaufort, and they are now there the predominant race, and this mayor refers to them as a quiet community. Most peculiar thing is the quatrifages in his book on the human race asserts the fact that the African lived on these islands long before the discovery of America by Christopher Columbus. I told you that in my previous videos. He is high authority, and he says that the Yamasee Indians were Negros, what were known afterwards as the fiercest of the Indian tribes of the South. The well-known Yamasee Indians were Africans. End quote. Q. By Mr. Phillips. Is it a fact that they were much darker than the other Indians? Answer. Yes, it is a fact. End quote. Question. And the hair was different too? answerer. So it is stated by one of the most distinguished ethnologists in the world. Another corroborative proof is that the Spaniards found that a Negro was equal to 10 Indians for work, and they therefore imported these Indian Negros and carried them to the West Indies to experiment with. All right. A parish, noun, a small administrative district typically having its own church and pastor. Back in 1870, there was Prince William, aka St. William Parish. Jurisdiction is Burton through Sheldon. The headquarters was Old Sheldon Ruins Church. It's still there, stands there today. Next is St. Peter, jurisdiction downtown Beaufort and Ladies Island. Number 3 is St. Luke, jurisdiction Okatee, Low Bottom, and Ridgeland. Number 4, St. Helena Parish, Chapel of Ease Ruins, which is also still here today. Slavery in Beaufort County, South Carolina was sanctioned by the Vatican by Pope Pius IX. And what that did was make the pastor like the equivalent of what we would call a mayor. You must understand, there was no legitimized, as we would call legitimized government here in Beaufort before the Civil War. There was no United States of America. It was North and South and the slave states. And in these slave states, being that there was no legitimate government, the church held all archives and documents and legal things, legal tenders. And they were the go-to guy for justice, as we would call justice today. So they were the mayors and the governors. Yes, the pastors of the Christian church in the 1800s in Beaufort, South Carolina. So I ask my brethren, my melanated people, why is it that till today, 2022, that y'all feel the need to participate in this Christian religion when the same religion is the one that they used to subjugate you? Is beyond me. This is the worst case of what's that syndrome called? Stockholm syndrome that I've ever seen. This is a classic case of Stockholm syndrome. Y'all going to church and praising Jesus, and y'all say it all day long, oh God, oh Lord, oh this, oh that. Y'all wouldn't know anything about that until the European came over and indoctrinated into your cerebral cortexes, which is a region in your brain that holds things. And you hold on to that. Let me ask you something. What do you think why they instill in us to turn the other cheek? Just think about it. When you're on that plantation and there's 300 of you out there, one slave master, his wife, and his little child in there, and you got like 4 overseers with guns and whips, but it's 300 of you out there picking cotton, rice, indigo, whatever. And they brainwash it into you with their rhetoric for you to believe that if you attack them, you're going to a place that you're going to burn forever. Now, I get it. I understand these modern reverends now. I don't hold them accountable because they don't know no better. They really believe in what they're preaching. It's sad nonetheless, but still at the same time, they are also a part of the 85%ers that don't know the truth. And there are some of them, like I said again, there's 10% of them that know the truth, but don't let nobody know. They keep it to themselves. And again, there's the 5% who know the truth. Beings like me, who divulge it to y'all. Calling the poor righteous teachers. Why do y'all go to these churches? Why? First of all, you were already here. You didn't know anything about the Jewish Jesus or the Roman Jesus because you were here. And the other few that wasn't here, the few that did come over on slave ships from Africa also didn't know the Jewish Jesus or the Roman Jesus. So why? It's a logical question. Why? Especially after it's been given to you through individuals whom raped your ancestors, male and females alike, sold you into slavery, make you work from sun up to sundown, minimum food, there's scraps from off of their table. An individual that has sold your children, your brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews, to other plantations, and you've never seen them again. These people give you the information that Jesus is coming back to save you, and you believe it, hook, line, and sinker. That's insane. And you keep going on. I figured it probably would subside it back in the 80s or the 90s. I was giving y'all the benefit of the doubt. But here it is, 2020, and y'all still participate in the Christian language, in the Christian religion that destroyed your ancestors. You foolish mortals. And that's exactly how they look at you, as foolish. That's why they don't respect you. That's why these cops be shooting y'all and doing all this type of stuff. Because they know you're dumb. They love to hear y'all say, Jesus Christ, Jesus. That lets them know right there your mentality, that you can be manipulated, that you feel an inferior complex to a lighter human because of the color of their skin. Instinctually, they know that. They took a person and mixed it with the myth of the stars and regurgitated it to you and told you to follow it, or there will be dire consequences after you die. What about the fucking consequences when you were alive? In that indigo field, in that rice field, in that cotton field. Oh, that the pastor is sanctioning. Because remember, he was the head of the parish. Stockholm Syndrome, that is what it's called. Is when captives fall in love with their holders, with their prison guards. It's a psychological mess. And y'all have fallen victim to it. Hook, line, and sinker. My fellow Beaufortonians, I love you. That is why I'm giving you this. I'm divulging this information to you. Y'all must wake up. Learn your history. It's right there. You can Google it. You don't even have to go to the library. And a lot of that stuff is archived in a library. And I don't know if a lot of y'all know that, but that building across the street, that yellow little fort thing, that is where they bought and sold us. Right there. Right across the street from the library, the Beaufort County Library, is where they bought and sold us. The Amasco Indians. The Coosa Indians. We were one with nature. We didn't worship no white man with no beard, with false promises coming back to save us. That's a Jewish religion. We're not Jewish. We're Americans. We were here. We were one with nature. No grocery store. We didn't purchase more than what we needed. We didn't go to the forest. The forest was our grocery store. And we took from the forest what we needed. We didn't stockpile shit like they taught us to do. But in this capitalist society crap. The forest was our grocery store. The forest, nature, everything we needed was right there. We bartered. You give me 3 birds, I give you a raccoon. Trade. That's what we did. But anyway, like I said, before there was a firm, steady government in Beaufort in 1965. But here's the thing. The last census of the slaveholders that I read through y'all in my last video was of 1970. Slavery was abolished in 1865. So Beaufort was operating illegally. And these churches was holding the information. These Christian religious holier than thou churches was holding this, archiving these events. I know y'all don't know, so I'm not going to hold y'all accountable. But now that y'all know that I'm telling you, what are you going to do about it? They talking about what Putin is doing over there to the Ukrainians. Talking about that's an injustice. He's doing war crimes. He's doing this. What about what the hell happened to us? Everybody seems to forget that. And someone needs to be held accountable. South Carolina was the last to free the slaves. The Union Army had to come and settle here. They had so much slaves here. It was more melanated people here than it was the European. And when the Union Army came and conquered them, these peasants, that's what they are. Just because they owned slaves, they were peasants. They fled off and left their property. That's how the melanated people in the Sea Islands acquired their land, because they left. And they intermarried with the Union soldiers. A lot of them did. And acquired property. The melanated man, I know y'all don't know this, but back then in the 1800s, after 1865, the Emancipation Proclamation that Abraham Lincoln implemented, the melanated man, the indigenous man, the African American, was a Republican. They were the only ones back then who had skills. Remember, The European didn't have no skills. We was making their shoes, making their clothes, doing everything for them. They didn't have no skills. We had all of the skills. And they fled off and left us skillful, melanated people with property and Union soldiers. Oh, but they came back through law, chattel, property. The pen is truly mightier than the sword. That's on my next video. Peace. I am Kukul Khan, aka Reverend Rock. I love you. East of Eaton Readings, and I'm out. Kukul Khan. I don't see it. No.